Exclamation everybody, and welcome back to Cube Ramblings for me. It is Saturday night, November the 5th, 2016. I hope everyone's had an excellent week. I've been busy as always. This is my busy time of the year. Everything going on. I'm trying to play as many games as I can, get my eyeballs peeking at all the things, and have a lot of little things here that I've been looking at, a bunch of things for the channel, a bunch of things I'm interested in, and there's a couple conventions going on right now. I think BlizzCon is in process as we speak, as well as PAX Australia, I think, is either continuing on or has finished up by this point. Not sure. I haven't heard much coming out of PAX Australia, so I don't know if it's too early to hear anything come out of it, or if it's really just too small a venue right now for any announcements or anything like that to come out of it. Blizzard did announce out of BlizzCon that the new Overwatch character, which I can't even remember her name. It's been a while since I played any Overwatch anyway, but they finally announced that. And that's about it as far as the conventions go, as far as information from the conventions. Along the same lines, though, along the fall lines, as it were, we've got a sale going on. GOG is doing their fall sale, their monstrous fall sale. It's going on between November the 3rd until November the 13th. So we'll have a couple days to take a look at and see what's going on. Like most of their sales, you can gather like XP by buying things, and then now give you free stuff. Also, I don't know if it's still going on now, but you were able to get a game for free. It's not popping up on my thing anymore, so I don't know if it's still the case anymore, but you were able to get a free game for a little while there. Usually at the very beginning of the sale they give that out, and I don't actually remember what the name of that game was. Let me see if I can find it in my account here, because I'll probably know it as soon as I see it. If I see it, it's because it was not something that I would normally. Oh, here it is. Little Big Adventure 2, I think is what it was. Yeah, Little Big Adventure 2, Twinsen's Odyssey. It was the game that was given out for free. I don't know if it's still being given for free. There was like a little blurb on the site at one point that said, "Here, you can download this for free," but I don't see it on there anymore. So I don't know, you might have missed it by now. But whenever GOG announces a sale, it's like you gotta jump in there right away because they usually have the early bird stuff. But they've got quite a few things on quite a good discount here, and I figure, like I tend to do with the sales, the big sales, I like to go through the list real fast and just point out some things that I've played or that I've heard about that grab my attention here. And first and foremost, we got The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Game of the Year edition is 40% off at $30 US. We got, The Witcher 3 it's a huge game, and this is the Game of the Year edition, which I believe probably has all the DLC in it. Let me see what it says here. I'd imagine it would if it's Game of the Year. Yep, all the expansions and additional content it has in it, and that's for $30. So that is a huge game. I mean, I still intend upon getting back into it once we get done with Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Because I can only really have one long-term RPG going on at any one time because there's so much going on there. But yeah, there's a lot. There's many hours to be spent in The Witcher 3 doing things. And Super Hot is 40% off at $15 US. That is a first-person shooter where time only moves when you move. And I did intend upon doing I did a side quest video of it a while back. I did intend upon doing an actual series on it, but it's just on the back burner right now whilst I get to clear out some other things. So I may still come back to Super Hot at some point in time. But it's an interesting thing. It's stylized. It's got mostly, you know, the world is just, it's just pale white, and there's some like little bit of color here and there. And you know, the enemies come out to you at red. They're all red, and then your guns and weapons are all black. And it's just, you know, you can slicey with the swords and stuff like that, and generally be a badass. What happens too is right after you finish the level, it's kind of like, it's like part first-person shooter, part puzzle game too, because they throw enemies at you and you're kind of like dodging bullets at the same time. You're trying to find the best way to get through all the enemies. And then at the very end, when you complete the level, it plays it back in real speed, so you can see how badass you are at dodging things. So it's a pretty cool game indeed. And for $15, it's a steal almost. Let's see, FTL Advanced Edition. If you don't have this by now, I mean, you should. It's 75% off. It's $2.50 US. I mean, this is about the cheapest it'll ever get, and it's just fantastic all around. So I don't know why. If you don't have it by now, now's your chance to pop in there and grab it. It's a roguelike, top-down 2D space adventure game where you travel between nodes and you get random encounters, and you have crew to manage, kind of, sort of, and a ship that is constantly under attack, as well as, you know, having boarding operations where the enemy will board your ship and start really wrecking havoc with things, and you'll get fires that you have to open the exterior doors to clear out, and all kinds of stuff. So it's quite a nice game, quite a fun game. Pretty simple and straightforward concept, but difficult, very, very difficult to master. So there's that. And what else we got on here? Starbound is 33% off at $10 US. Pretty good game. I got about 95 hours out of the game, and that was with doing, you know, basically I ground out a bunch of weapons and armor, did all the main quests. There's like little side quests that you can do along the way, but they get very repetitive. And there's some building there. You can do a little bit of building. You'll get some stuff for building. You've got a ship that you can build out. It's basically Terraria in space is what it is, but it's got all the same sort of mechanics as Terraria does, but it's you could go to multiple planets. You can find some stuff. I'm pretty sure there's still parts of that game that I have not even explored yet, because there was something about rangers that you're supposed to find, and I never did find them. So I think there's still more to that I've never explored yet. But it does get, you know, it's a sandbox game through and through, so it can get very, very grindy when you're trying to get resources and stuff. But beyond that, it's a pretty darn good game, and I enjoyed my time in it. So that's out there. And Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition, that is 50% off at $20. I didn't really make it through Divinity Original Sin. It's a sort of a classic RPG. It's got the classic RPG stylings in it. It's top-down, sort of isometric thing. It's definitely a looter. There's a lot of loot to be gathered. It's got a bartering system in it, so if you're not one that really likes bartering systems, you'll really hate this, because it just, you don't really trade. You do get gold, but you don't really trade in gold. You have to barter with other weapons and paintings that you've stolen and things like that. The biggest problem I had, you know, all that's good and well and good and all that stuff, but the biggest problem I had really with it is that I got about, I don't know, 10 hours into it, and there was a lot of quests, a ton of quests, which is great. I love a lot of quests, but the quest text was so uninformative that I didn't know what to do and where to go to actually complete those quests. Like, I was looking around, I'm like, I don't know what the next thing I have to do to actually trigger the rest of this quest is. I don't know if it's just I have to move on to the next area, you know, and it was frustrating me from that point where there was just these ton of quests, but I couldn't figure out what MacGuffin I needed in order to make them go away and be completed and get the XP for them. So that could, if you're the type of person who really wants quests that make sense, Divinity is not going to be a good one for that. It's going to really be a pain in the neck as far as that is concerned. But it also got the tactical combat. So when you get into combat, it's all tactical based. You got action points and all that stuff. And then, of course, you got Divinity Original Sin 2 coming out soon. It's not quite... I don't think it's out yet, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's in early access, if that. But that's not on this list here as far as I can tell. But this is the original one, and then Divinity 2 might be the same vein. It might be a little bit better. I haven't quite gotten into it yet to tell you. Rebel Galaxy, 67% off at $6.69 US. Rebel Galaxy is pretty good. I want to get back into Rebel Galaxy. I just need to find the right format to record with. Because it's open world. It's got a storyline going on. It's in space. It's kind of an interesting way of doing space. It's like you've got your ship, and you can upgrade your ship, you can buy new ships, you can upgrade the weapons and all that stuff. But you're flying, it's like a third-person camera behind it, and when you battle, it's sort of like, you're sort of like shooting off broadsides and stuff. It's kind of like a naval battle almost, instead of a typical space battle. So, it's very interesting mechanics. It can be pretty hard at times, but there is a lot of just dead time in there, where it's like, alright, I need to go do some things to get in order to progress the story, and that means just going around and just trading and getting more money, more credits to upgrade my ship, because I need to an upgraded ship if I want to go any further than where I'm going, and that kind of thing. So from that perspective, it can get, there are long pauses of really not a lot going on in there, but a lot of these games, a lot of those space games like this, Privateer is one, Tachyon the Fringe is another one. A lot of these games have that aspect to them, where there's a bunch of action, and then there's a lot of just dead time, and then bunch of action, and then dead time, and then bunch of action again. So that's tis the way it is, but it's still a very good game in that, and the soundtrack is absolutely fantastic. It's so fantastic, I had to turn it off because it was giving me content ID hits left, right, and center. It's really, really good in that respect, and the visuals are pretty decent too. I didn't have really any problems with it, so there's that. And let's see, what else do we have on here that pops out in my face? Torchlight 2. Wow, 85% off at $2.99 US, $3 US basically. Torchlight 2 is, so if you've never played Torchlight, and actually I think Torchlight is on here as well, somewhere if I can find it, but yeah, Torchlight is on here as well. That's 85% off at $2.29 US. That's even cheaper. Torchlight, the original Torchlight was a dungeon crawler where you just had a basic hub, and you just constantly go down further into the mines and grind out loot, and then you bring that back with you, sell it, and upgrade and all that stuff, and then you go down deeper, a couple more levels, and it was just basically you're just, cave dwelling, just constantly going down deeper into a cave until you finally got to the end of the game. And it all took place in that one area. And then Torchlight 2 took that same universe and said, okay, here's a world to explore now. And it takes it's an action RPG, and it allows you to kind of move around the world and fight all the enemies around. You get like little side quests that pop up. You get main quest storylines and all that stuff. Quite nice game. It's the art style is really cool on it. I've never played it on camera. I think I had I had recorded some footage of it when I was as background fodder for one of my channel updates. But it was one of those games where I put about 20 hours into it, and then it sort of kind of, it was really dragging a little bit. There's a lot to do, and especially if you're like me and you have to do all the side quests, there's a lot to do. There's a lot of little secrets, a lot of little Easter eggs to find too. But it was just, it just got to that point where it got to the point where a lot of RPGs get with me, with long form RPGs, where it's like, all right, I kind of get the idea of what's going on, but I'm just kind of bored now, and I don't really want to do the next thing to get me to where I want to go. Which is why one of the reasons why I do YouTube now is because I've finished more RPGs now than I've ever finished in my life, basically, because all the time I usually get to that point where it's like, all right, I get the general gist, and I'm just going to kind of leave this go now. Having an actual goal of putting a series out tends to get you to actually grind through those areas and ignore the fact that you've got an area that you're not quite into and keep on pressing forward. So that is basically my take on Torchlight 2. Still a very good game, and you know what? For as cheap as it is, basically Torchlight 1 will get you about maybe 10 hours. Torchlight 2 will get you at least 30 to 40 hours, I would say, if assuming you do all the side quests and stuff. So and you're slow like me. And so for like so we'll say $6 we'll say $6 US, you can have several multi hours of enjoyment there just out of those. So really good, pretty good pickup if I do say so myself. What else do we have on here that I've actually played? Starpoint Gemini 2 is 75% off at $8.79 US. That is, I still have not played enough of that. I played the original Starpoint Gemini. Starpoint Gemini 2 actually has an update to it. I don't know if you get it with this bundle or not, but there's an update where they actually put the original Starpoint Gemini game into Starpoint Gemini 2, so you can actually play those missions all over again. And I like the original one. And Starpoint Gemini 2, I've never gotten into yet. I haven't put enough time into it to get into it. I'm sure I would get back into it again. It's just that when I was playing it, I was having a lot of trouble with the controls, because it kind of requires a gamepad, sort of. Like, you can use the mouse and keyboard, but it's not very... At the time that I was playing it, it wasn't very good for controlling it. And then the controller was even worse at times, so I was having issues with it. I think if I can get past the control scheme, I could probably get back into it and actually play it and enjoy it. Probably. It was just trying to get into that, and it's a little bit more open worldy kind of, where you go around and you find missions as you explore the universe. I didn't really like that they charge you for gate travel, whereas the first game you basically could travel anywhere you wanted to via the gates. It's just when you popped out the other end, you're getting your ass shot up. But in this one, it's like, well, you can travel anywhere you want to as long as you're willing to wait long enough, or you can use the gate system, but then it costs you a ton of money, and that's just sort of a fast travel thing. And I'm like, I don't really like that they changed that into like a fast travel thing versus just giving you the ability to do it again. But who knows? Maybe that has changed since I last took a look at it. But anyway, sorry, I'm having a lot of phlegm issues all of a sudden. That might be a little bit too much information for you. The Swindle, 67% off at $5 US. It's not too bad a title. It's a side-scrolling steampunk roguelike where you're trying to steal data and gold and all kinds of stuff from people and in the city, and there's a time limit that you're supposed to do things in. I forget the story why there was a time limit. There's some kind of thing happening in like 7 days, and or 20 days or something, and they're going to catch up to you. And your idea is that you're supposed to get as much money as you can from all your stuff, and then just get out of there. And there's constant upgrades as you die, and you'll die a lot. You come back, and you're constantly upgrading your airship and all that stuff. So it was a nice game. It was a pretty cool little thing. I think I did a side quest video on it, and it was very nice. I didn't mind it too much. It was not something that I would come back to that often, but it's a nice little hey, I just need to kill some time kind of thing. 50% off is Tharsis, and that is $7.49 US. Tharsis is an RNG, basically. It's a random number generator. It's a random, basically painful generator. It's like sometimes you'll get pain, sometimes you'll get even more pain. That's how it does. They've taken the concept of like rolling dice rolls, and then whatever you roll on the dice, you can use that dice to then repair or do other actions onto your space station, or your spaceship, which is getting hit and bombarded by things, or to help to upgrade your components on it and all that stuff. It can be very, very annoying after a while. Like the difficulty on it is it spikes and then doesn't spike, and spikes and goes up and down constantly. And it's all due to just the total reliance on RNG. So it can be pretty frustrating to get far along and then all of a sudden have it just, totally pull the rug out from under you just because you got a bad roll. So that is about the best I can say about Tharsis. I know that's not the most ringing endorsement you ever heard, but that's about the best I can say about it. It's a frustration simulator is what it is, basically. And one other one here we'll pull off that is actually it's still in early access right now. It's called Star Crawlers. This one is actually 30. Whew, sorry about that. I had to take a second to cough and clear my sinuses here. Man, it's something is going on with me. So apologies on if I sound a little bit nasally and other things. It's coming on to me all of a sudden here. But yes, Star Crawlers is a game that's been in early access. It's still in early access right now. It's 34% off at $13.29 US. It has the potential to be really fun. I was really enjoying myself. It's a dungeon crawler with RPG elements. If you think of like the old school RPGs that were like 2.5D, where you're going through corridors, it kind of takes from that perspective. So your peeps walk through the corridors one frame at a time, you know what I mean? One scene at a time. And you pick up all kinds of stuff. The idea is that you're some sort of like ship breaker, kind of, where you go onto these ships, you find out what happened to them, and you're trying to recover things from them. They're all derelict ships, but you have to fight, the defense mechanisms on it and all that stuff. And, as you go, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit, mostly off camera, but I did do a side quest video on it, and it's the one thing that I'm anticipating the most right now. I'm waiting with bated breath to try to see this come out as a full release, and I don't know when the full release is supposed to be, but there's something special there, I think, honestly. So I'm waiting to see how that goes. So I think that'll cover most of that stuff. There's a lot of things on here. A lot of games on here. There's Transistor is like 75% off at $5. Mini Metro is like 40% off at $6. Stardew Valley is, well, I haven't played Stardew Valley yet, but I did get that as part of the Humble Monthly thing, so we'll see what that's like. And then what else? Satellite Rain is 67% off at $10. So I mean, I did a side quest video on that. That's a long form RPG, top down sci-fi guy. So that's something that right there is a ton of hours that you can suck into that, and for very, very little money. So yes, I would say go on over to GOG and peruse their catalog there and see if there's stuff that you like, because it's all DRM free and all that stuff. They have a client. GOG Galaxy is their client now, which looks a lot like Steam, but not broken usually. So that kind of thing. All right, I've talked quite a bit about that, but since I mentioned the Humble Monthly Bundle, it is November. The first Friday of November has passed, so the new Humble Monthly Bundle has come out, and in it was Broforce, co-op patriotism simulation. You play as 80s and 90s action heroes waging war against terror in almost entirely destructible, nostalgic settings. It's a 2D side-scroller with, basically it looks like a Contra kind of thing. It's got the same sort of art style as that kind of, only, better. And it's got like a Rambo-like guy. It's got like a Mr. T-like guy on the front here. It looks like it's quite the parody. So that'll be an interesting one. Also, a Rebel Galaxy was another one in the Humble Monthly Bundle, and I've already talked a little bit about that because it's also on sale on GOG. So there you go. Beyond Eyes is the next one. Modern fairy tale about finding courage and friendship as you carefully guide young Rey on a life-changing journey uncovering an incredible world step by step. Blinded as a young child and reluctant to leave the protection of her family home, Rey's world is once more shattered as Nanny, her pet cat, goes missing. Okay, you lost me there. All right, Beyond Eyes. Kathy Rain is the next one. This one actually has a lot of good reviews on it, and I loaded it up, but I haven't actually played any of it yet. It's a point-and-click game. You're a college girl, and you're trying to solve mysteries, and that's all I know. That's all I know so far. Styx, Master of Shadows. I have no idea what this is. It just says it's an infiltration game with RPG elements, and you play this like little trolley guy. So I have no idea. It's got good reviews, so I assume it's a decent game. I've just never heard or seen anything of it. And then Stardew Valley was the headliner of this particular bundle. So I probably don't have to say much about Stardew Valley other than it's a top-down 2D, I would say, life simulator, and I'll leave it at that. And then Humble Monthly debut of Pirate Pop Plus, which is like the most retro graphics you could ever see in your life. It's kind of harking back to like the old Nintendo handhelds, pretty much, grayscale, graphics and stuff. And looks like a platformer, and that's all I know. That's all I know about that. It just says super addictive, gravity defying, score chasing, bubble bursting, retro style arcade game. Doesn't really tell me much else about it. And then we have a Humble original called Keyboard Sports. This one looks interesting. Basically, it's a series of like mini games where you use all the keys on your keyboard in order to maneuver a character around in these mini games, and it's all different based on what you're trying to do. It looks pretty interesting, so I expect that I may have some kind of video of that at some point. But yeah, that one is a Humble debut. And all we know is that next month, for December, we will, if you pay early, you can unlock Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen, Dark Arisen, I should say. I've heard that Dragon's Dogma is actually good. I don't know if this is one of the good ones or not, or if this is the one that people talk about. I know very little about it, so I'll get to be able to see that next month when it comes out for the next December Humble Monthly Bundle. But that was the one for November. Just wanted to let you guys know what was going on with that, since that's actually, for $12 a month there's a lot of good games that it throws in there. I mean, they could have thrown a lot of really stinkers in there, but they've actually thrown quite a bit of really good ones, and it's very, very cheap. So, you know, and also on top of that, whenever you do, if you do subscribe to the Humble Monthly Bundle, you get 10% off all of your stuff at the off your carts at the Humble store, right? So I will occasionally pop over there. Like I just bought from the Humble store, I just bought Tyranny, which I think is the newest RPG, top-down RPG coming out, where you're like the bad guy. And they, I think the lowest package for that was like $44 or something on Steam. So I went on Humble store, and since I get 10% off because I subscribed to the bundle, I knocked it down to $40. So it's, you know, why not, right? I mean, it's a pretty good deal all around, I'd say. Plus you get like 5 to 8 games a month. Whether or not they're good games or not, you know, it's left up to interpretation, but some of them are pretty darn good. I mean, Stardew Valley's in there, Rebel Galaxy's in there, quite a lot of other ones that came in through the monthly bundles. Let me see what what other ones here. They have a whole list of them on their page here. Like Grim Dawn was pretty good. Hotline Miami 2 Wrong Number. Soma WWE 2K16, which it's not really my speed, but it's there. Banner Saga, Epistory. Let's see what else. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 multiplayer starter pack, which is technically free, which is kind of a cheap way out with that, but whatever. And what else on here jumps out at me? Sally Rain. And TIS 100, Rocket League, The Forest, Dungeon of the Endless, Wasted, a post-apocalyptic pub crawler, which actually was pretty good, Infinifactory Galaxy, yeah, South Park, The Stick of Truth, This War of Mine, Renowned Explorers, International Society, just a ton of games that have been released here. Wasteland 2 Director's Cuts, you know, I Am Bread, so many things on the bundles. So it's actually it's paid for itself many times over, I would say, personally. But that is just me. Anyway, spending a lot of time on that. Let's talk about the things I've actually been playing, huh? So I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. This is the latest one, the latest COD game that just came out. I've recorded a bunch of the single-player campaign, about 2 hours of it, and there's still more to go, but I think I'm pretty far along as it is. But yeah, we got quite a bit of the single-player campaign, and I've been playing almost all day. I've been playing the multiplayer stuff of it. The multiplayer... So, first of all, the single-player campaign is actually surprisingly mostly quite a bit amount of fighter, you know, like almost Wing Commander-esque fighter pilot spaceship shooty bang bang stuff. It's not as good as Wing Commander. Not even close. It's what's the best way I can put it? It's like if you put a space fighter ship on rails, and then you said you can move all around, but everything that's going on around you is just a flurry of nonsense. Basically, as I was piloting around and shooting things, I couldn't tell you what I was shooting or what direction I was facing or what was going on, because there were so many explosions and pew pew and stuff on my screen, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm hitting anything or not. I'm just kind of flying around and trying to dodge things, and then your ship is constantly under, you know, it's getting damaged almost to being destroyed, and then that kind of makes everything turn red, and then it's just a whole lot of nonsense. But surprisingly fun. I mean, it's not the greatest starfighter game you ever did see in your life. The first-person shooter combat's competent, although there are times when it's in a single player campaign. There are times when I've had to redo several times over because it's just total BS at times. Like the AI can just like really wreck your face, even on normal difficulty. So it's a little bit of that. And then the multiplayer is, I mean, I've only played one other Call of Duty game, and it's Call of Duty Black Ops 3. I played the multiplayer on that, and this is basically that. It does have some missions, which I don't know if the Black Ops 3 had missions or not, but this one does have missions where right before you go into a map, you can say, oh, get 5 kills with this weapon, or get 3 kills as a infiltrator or whatever class you want to be. And then if you accept that mission, then you get extra perks at the end if you succeed and all that stuff. So that's kind of nice. It's got like the unlock thing where you get golden keys, and then after you get 10 keys, you can trade them in for a box that gives you random shit that I still haven't quite figured out. Like some of it's skins, some of it's weapons, I guess. I'm not sure. And various other things. You have perks that you get along the way, and you can equip, and different loadouts. It's about the standard stuff. The only real complaint I would have with it is that, well, there's two really. One is, for some reason, I cannot find it in the options menu anywhere, but there's apparently no way to change your mouse sensitivity in game. So it's using whatever your Windows sensitivity is, which for me is cranked all the way up because I don't want to move my hand too much. But in a first-person shooter, I want the sensitivity to be far less, so that I can actually zoom in on people a lot easier without, when I move my hand around, I can actually get to someone better and faster and have more time to actually target a person. That is not the case here. And that kind of pisses me off a little bit. It's like the one thing you needed to do for the PC is actually be able to give us that option, and they couldn't be bothered to do that. The other thing they couldn't be bothered to do is to not constantly tell me at the very beginning of the game, you have a controller plugged in. Would you like to play with a controller? No. And I've said no 100 times, and it still asks me every freaking time, would you like to play with a controller? No. No, I would not. I would like you to remember that I said no, so you would stop asking me. I like to play with a mouse and keyboard because I'm on a PC. Because I would be at a very big disadvantage if I played with the controller on a PC with other people playing on a mouse and keyboard. Let's put it that way. So that is those are downfalls. Another downfall that has been revealed is that if you buy the game on the Windows 10 store, you can't play multiplayer with other people who have bought it on Steam. That is what they're reporting. Whether or not that's entirely accurate is, I couldn't tell you, but I'll leave links that talk about it. And it seems plausible to me because I think, and this is just me talking out of my ass, so do your own due diligence, but I would think that if it's on the Windows Store, it's probably the Xbox One ports of it, like the UWP or whatever they're calling it, Universal Windows, fuck up or whatever it's called. So just like a Forza Horizon 3. So it kind of makes sense to me that you would be going through the Xbox servers. So I would imagine that if you're playing a Windows 10 version, you're actually playing with Xbox users. I don't know if that's really true or not, but I would think that would be the case. So then, because that's just the way it's distributed. So I don't know. I don't know how that's supposed to go or what that's doing, but that is the rumor with it. And the facial animations and all that stuff, all the voice capture and face capture is top notch as you would imagine, since it's they've had 3 years to do it, and it's okay. It's merely okay at this point. No one really plays these games for the single player. I do it because I think it's cliched as hell. So who am I to say no to a cliched thing? But it's the multiplayer, I think, is probably about the same as what you've ever seen. You could probably keep on playing Black Ops 3 and not really be missing anything, for that matter. I've noticed a lot of people play team deathmatch or team domination and don't play like free for all, which is weird to me. But I guess most people like the domination thing because they know that you're going to be in one spot at some point if you're playing the objectives. Although I see a lot of people in those games not playing objectives, which is very, very strange to me. They're just going for kills and nothing else, because you know, they need that screenshot for the interwebs, I guess. But yeah, beyond that, it's competent. Doesn't blow my socks off or anything like that. But it's fun in its own right. It's fun if you just turn your brain off and let it just guide you along and show you some things. It's not the bee's knees as far as like, oh, this is a sci-fi space game. Like, no, it's not really. It's a sci-fi space game made by people who would rather be making a military shooter, is basically what it boils down to. It's not really, there's nothing, like, being a big sci-fi guy myself, there's nothing in there that jumps out at me and says, hey, this is something awesome and cool that's sci-fi. It's mostly jumping out saying, hey, this is what you get when you have a romance novelist writing a hard sci-fi novel or something, you know, some weird genre bending weird, you know, someone was out of their own element writing it, kind of thing. So that's the most I can muster on that one. We got a new teaser video for Mass Effect Andromeda, and there's not much to it. It's just a couple geeks, couple of geeks standing on the moon, talking about how Andromeda is going to take place 600 years after Mass Effect 3. So they're really making sure that they can get out of the shadow of Mass Effect 3, and they're going to do their own thing. They're going to be in their own galaxy and all this stuff, and that's it. There's no other information on it, so I don't know anything else that's going on there. But we're going to have to wait until 2017 to find out what is going on with Mass Effect Andromeda. Forza Horizon 3 has announced that they're going to be getting a winter themed expansion. So the running theory, and I can't find the article that says it, but the running theory is that it's going to take place in New Zealand. It's going to be all wintry, so you're going to be driving through winter wonderlands, and that's all I know. I don't know anything else. I don't know how big the map is going to be. I assume it's going to be pretty small. I assume it's going to be more like a Storm Island map, or, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if they took the Storm Island map from Forza Horizon 2 and just put snow on it and said, here's New Zealand. It would not surprise me at all if they did that. But that should be coming down the pike soonish. So we'll be able to see what's going on with that. And I'll leave you a link to IGN. It just basically tells you the same thing. They don't know much about it yet. And I've been playing this week Orwell. The last couple weeks, actually, I've been playing a game called Orwell, and it is fantastic in many ways. It's a narrative-driven, interactive story. It's a lot like a Telltale game in some bad ways too, but it's a lot like a Telltale game. It's episodic, and the idea is that you've been recruited by the government to spy on citizens and use this new spy tool to figure out who is a mad bomber. There's a mad bomber going around, and you're trying to figure out who it is and why and what their motivation is and all that stuff. And it's each episode is about, like, the first episode's about an hour, the second episode's about an hour and a half, the third episode was about 2 hours if you go through all the paces of it. And there's 2 more episodes after that. There's episode 4 and 5, which I think are coming out 1 week after each other. All the episode dates are actually on the Steam page. They have them all set in stone and when they're going to come out with that. And that's pretty good. It's you're navigating around like a computer interface kind of thing. You're looking at web pages that are simulated web pages, and you're listening in on chats and phone conversations and all that stuff. They're all transcribed on the screen. There's no voice acting or anything like that. It's all in your brain. And the idea is that the Orwell system will highlight pieces of text that may have some relevance, may or may not have some relevance to the ongoing investigation. And if they do, you drag them over and drop them on the thing, and they'll add to the database. And then from there, that might open up another document that you can then look at and that kind of thing. And I think that's where my criticism of the game starts to come in. First of all, first criticism. The game is episodic. Because of that, because I think that's really negatively affecting the narrative. The narrative is set over a 5-day period, and as you're going along, you have this in your brain, like, oh, this is over a 5-day period. There's 5 episodes here. I probably haven't encountered the Mad Bomber yet, because there's still more episodes to come. Right, so you're always, in the back of your mind, you're always thinking to yourself, oh, I know how many more episodes are coming, so I know I'm probably not there yet, so I should take everything with a grain of salt that I'm reading right now. I should not go down any blind alleys yet. And I feel like that hurts it a lot, because if they had eliminated that episodic nature, if they just released it all in the one spot, and they've done a lot of things good with this episodic release, like they actually had dates in the sand and all that stuff. More so than any other game. Like, I'm still waiting for freaking episode 3 of Blues and Bullets. I mean, who the hell knows whenever that's going to come out, right? So it's like, I like that they took that and they said, oh, we're just going to, here's the actual dates we're releasing things. But I feel like it would be a better game, a better narrative, if they had just released it all in one game all together, just one episode, one big game with all the episodes in it. And that way you wouldn't know going in whether or not there was more to the game or not. Am I going to get a game over right now, or am I going to continue forward? Is this, what's happening here? Is this really the person that did it or not? Right now I'm kind of like, well, I know this person probably didn't do it because there's still more to come yet, right? Whereas if it was all in one package, I wouldn't know that. And so I'd be like, oh, maybe this person really did do it. Maybe I should go down this path. Maybe I should go down that path, right? It would enhance it a lot better, enhance that narrative back to where it really should be, in my opinion. The other thing is that it's very, and this is the negative thing that it takes from Telltale. You know how a Telltale game will fire, when you fire one up, it's like, this story is shaped by the choices you make, which is bullshit, right? Because it's like, yes, the story, you can make a bunch of choices as long as you end up back at this point at the end, right? That's basically a Telltale game. This one is, you do have actual choices, and the choices do actually make some kind of difference. Maybe not, I don't know. The one choice that I know about was kind of superficial, like in the early first episode. But later episodes, there are some choices that may affect it more or not. I can't quite put my finger on it. Like if you put the wrong address in, how does it play out? I don't know. Because I don't know whether the game is just going to say, okay, that's it, game over, or if it's going to say no, or if it's just going to roll with it and say like, oh, okay, no, well, we'll do better next time or something like that, right? Like if I got the wrong address, if I had purposely gotten the wrong address for something, would that have, would the game have rolled with that, or would the game have chastised me and said, no, that's game over or whatever, or some semblance of that? I don't know, and I think that's the thing that's killing me the most, is like not knowing whether or not the game's going to roll with something. Because the one time that I did make a choice like that, the game did roll with it, but they're like, there was another time when they're like, oh, this is, you really think that this is pertinent information? And they kind of got snooty with me, and I'm like, oh, this is not the way I want to go with it. So I was trying to be as obtuse as I can be, because I don't want to give out any spoilers. But basically, I feel like the game, I wish that the game would give me more freedom to find the pieces on my own. Because what happens is, even though it'll throw a bunch of documents at you and that you can look at and kind of parse, it's waiting. In the background, it's waiting for you to pick up that one piece of data and bring it over, which it can then unlock the next piece of the narrative, right? It's always constantly waiting for that one piece to get pulled over so that you can unlock the next piece of the narrative. And so from that perspective, it's very, very linear. Like at one point in the gameplay, I was thinking out loud about this one of the characters, and I said, you know, it's kind of weird that this character has these skills, but is working as this person, right? So I'm like, clearly there's some kind of training that happened there. Why can't I go look into this character's background to find the training? Well, you do eventually, but the game won't unlock that for you until you've gone through all the other pieces of the puzzle, right? And I think that's the part that kind of pisses me off the most, because I'm like, I could have jumped to that conclusion already. I already had the thought in my mind that this was going on. Why do I have to go through every one of these little breadcrumbs to get to it, right? It's because I have to go through all those breadcrumbs, I know that it's like, oh, well, I'm going to get chastised for this, or I'm going to do this, or this one's not going to lead anywhere, or this one's not right, and all that stuff. And it's like, you kind of spend a lot of time just trying to find that one little piece that the game is waiting for in order to let you get to the part where you're already at. Like, the game is always behind you and not in front of you, as far as where your thought process is at. So that's my big complaint about that. If they had given me like even a search bar, like a Google bar or something, where I could type things in ahead of time and say like, give me this person's military record or something like that, you know, then I could then jump ahead and say, oh, okay, this is, you know, then I feel like I'm actually in control. And then it gives you the feeling as well, on top of that, oh, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's something else here that I haven't found yet. Whereas now it's like, well, I know I found everything because I have to find everything. I have to go one step at a time because it's not letting me go any further until I find that one nugget of information that it wants in order to unlock more stuff. So it's like, I don't have that feeling of like I missed something. I have the feeling of more like, all right, I'm already like 5 steps ahead here. Let's catch the computer back up with me. Let's catch the narrative back up with where I'm at in it. So those are my beefs about it. Those are they're kind of big beefs. I mean, they're not something that you can easily fix, like in the narrative and all that stuff. As far as the game is concerned, they're not really bugs. As far as the game is concerned, they're more like bugs as far as the narrative and the mechanics are concerned, right? So it's one of those things where you could take that information and use it for the next game, but you can't really do much with it in the current game as it currently stands, which is a bummer, because it's a really good game, even despite those little niggles that I have on it. It's a very, very good game, and I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait to see episode 4 and 5. They are coming out very, very shortly, so I hope that a lot of people end up picking up the game instead of just watching it on YouTube. You know what I mean? I hope a lot of people say, oh, I really, really enjoy this. I want to go, go play it myself. So we will see on that. Speaking of games that, people were playing but are no longer going to be available, I forgot to mention this last week, but Evolve's creators, the creators of Evolve, have also been kicked off their game. They're no longer working on Evolve. So we had all this whole thing where, Evolve went through this sort of problems with its first launch, and it came back and it started to make a lot of changes, and it started to become a better game because of those changes, and the community started to pick up again on it, at least a little bit. And then this happens. Turtle Rock, the developers of it, basically said that they no longer are allowed to work on Evolve. They were the ones that created it and carried it from THQ to 2K Games. Now 2K Games has said, okay, your contract is done. We don't need you no more. and that is what has happened. So don't know what that means as far as the future of Evolve is concerned, though. Don't know what's going to happen to the game. Is it just going to die out? Is it going to continue under a different developer? Is 2K just going to give it to somebody else, or are they just going to let it die on the vine? Don't really know. But if you've been a fan of Evolve and you like the change that just happened, I'm sorry to break this news to you, but your game is on life support now again, and that's kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame. And I think that'll be good for this week. I'd say I haven't even recorded any background footage yet for this week, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm actually not feeling like recording No Man's Sky, so there might be some weird, interesting background footage for this particular episode on YouTube. I don't know for sure because I haven't recorded it yet. So, but I'm really thinking in my head I'm going to record a different game just because I'm not feeling like jumping into No Man's Sky tonight. So we'll see what ends up popping up on there. But like I said, that will do it for me for this week. Thanks so much for watching it on YouTube or listening on SoundCloud, and I will see you hopefully next.
Right now, and we'll call it even. Oh yeah, I love it.
The end approaches.